Go back to what you're saying and what I'm not saying what you're saying is not true or not valid. Don't think that I'm not even saying what you're saying is not valid. I think that definitely is some people who think like that, who believe like that. That is their reality. That is how they do it. In general, yes, you definitely you're correct about that. I think there are other reasons for the, why some people can't see those things.
Sharing with you on your page. If you want to turn on the fan until we go on air, that's fine. You gonna press that?
Yeah. Find the right time to do things being stable from the go. What about the husband? What about finding a husband? What does that mean when you
Does
say
it
that?
find a good thing?
Yes, that is a true. That's why love problems is such.
This guy in Fox, Chicago, had videotape of a man being disorderly in the airport this morning. He hollered out that they're treating me like a black person. White as day, struggling, saying he's being treated like a black person.
Well, that tells you how they don't want to be treated differently, and they certainly don't want to be treated like a black person.
NBC News reports number 45 cancels military parade and blames DC officials for the high cost. In other words, he couldn't do like Putin and Kim Jong-un and have people reverencing him, so he won't blame somebody. People were telling him an $82 million parade for people. Ain't nobody gonna show up except the military because they ain't got no choice but to show up. There's this guy who when he stole a plane and crashed it into the house trying to kill his wife and his son after he was jailed for domestic violence. They escaped, he died. He was arrested for domestic violence. This was earlier this week. Not too long after the other one stole the plane from the airport and crashed it because he was suicidal.
Oh, okay, man. I didn't.
This one, I mean, you know, the wife and the son, they escaped, but this guy died, and at what cost? Because he was mad. People need to understand, there's a loss on all ends. Take, for instance, the guy who, out in front of the cameras hollering, my wife, why my wife and my children, and then turns around 24 hours later and says, I did. And took them right to where he buried them. They're still looking for the kids, but they found the wife. I said, oh, we have another Scott Peterson on our hands. Thank you. So I redid my press kit so that it's not so dark and looming. Because, my press kit's been like a black background and everything is in blue and white. But I redid my press kit to be a little bit more vibrant. And I'll email it to you later. Maybe you can take a look at it. But I passed it by Tia and Tasha. They said it was good. I just need to add a name back on it. And they said go for it. Because I got about 18 media entities I need to send the press kit to. So they can go ahead and advertise about the event. And they're in Annapolis, DC, Philly, Delaware, just so they know that this is going on. And we're about we have about 25 minutes first. All right, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank grace it's Friday. All those good things. Thank you for joining us. We are the Majors. I'm Arlene.
And I'm Victor.
And we are coming to Connection live right here at WMSK Online Radio, home of Cheryl Underwood Radio, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, and you can come on over to YouTube and subscribe and catch us live. That's right, going over to WMSKOnlineRadio.com. You can also download the app right there from your computer. So, good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing today? I hope everybody is doing fantastical. I really, really do. And we need to go ahead and kick off this morning. Dave, would you pray us in, please?
Yeah, first I'd just like to thank everybody for tuning in, for being a part of Covenant Connections. We just thank God for you. And I have a little prayer that's going to be in line with what we were speaking of today. So I have this prayer for you. It says, thank you, Lord, for being there for me, allowing me to cry out to you in my times of need. It is amazing to me that the Lord of the universe will take time to listen to me and to care about what I say. God, there are things that are happening around me right now that I do not understand. Some of these things make me feel weak, helpless, and afraid. Even in the midst of this, I know you are Lord. I know that the situation is in your hand, and I trust you. I beseech you for strength, for wisdom, that will be able to endure this situation, be able to handle it in a way that will bring you glory, bring glory to your name. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we are grateful to be here today. We're grateful to be
Yes,
in the land of the living upright and not in the horizontal position right now because we got some work to do.
Absolutely. We can't take that for granted.
Nope. And we have a great topic today. And the topic is, what is your giant? What are you facing right now that seems so insurmountable that you feel you cannot overcome it? Before we do that, let me shout out a few birthdays here. I do want to acknowledge earlier this week, this past weekend, as a matter of fact, was my grandfather's birthday. So happy heavenly birthday, Grandpa. And we all know that the world right now is mourning the passing of Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, a great voice, another great voice that has been silenced but has moved on to a greater plane. Aretha, as you know, she grew up in the church. She sang gospel, and then she brought her gospel voice to the world. And I found out something new about Aretha today as I was watching some new things. You know her song Respect? Respect was written because she was a victim of domestic violence. She had her first child when she was barely 14 years old. And that's around the time that she started touring and going to the masses with her voice. But she had 3 children. But yeah, her first song, Respect, was written because of domestic violence. So thank you for that. Aretha was also affectionately known by friends and family as Riri. And she was a very private person. So a lot of people are like, why didn't we know about this? How come we didn't know? We would have been supported. She was very private about her life. She did not want her personal life in the tabloids. She kept that for over the 6 decades that she was in the music business. But for those who didn't know, she passed away from pancreatic cancer. And pancreatic cancer is something that's hard to detect. Once it's detected, it is very hard to stop. So our hearts and our prayers and our condolences go out to her friends and family, to those in the music world and in the gospel world. She will be missed.
Absolutely. I mean, to all those who ever heard that wonderful voice, I mean, being unquestionably the queen of soul, because she had a voice
4 octaves.
that, I mean, again, you felt her voice, that soul that came.
Yep.
That's the thing I love about soul music and about us as a people, because that thing that you a lot of times come from us from a place of pain, and from anguish, from the things you would absolutely feel it.
She made you feel it.
We bring that from our soul.
Right, and she's done things in the music world that a lot of others can aspire to. She has performed for 4 sitting presidents. She was active in the civil rights movement. Again, in the gospel community, she was a self-taught pianist. So every piano thing that you're hearing, she created that on her own. Again, I said she had 4 octaves to her voice. So if you ever have heard Aretha hit a high note, you know you're gonna have to sit down after that high note, because that was the note right there. Okay. Aretha was one that would say it like it is. She was also one that did not hold her opinion back when it came to music and musical talent. She saw Whitney Houston as a talent. She saw herself as a talent. She's quoted as saying that, her voice was a God-given talent and she used it for the purpose that it was supposed to be used. So again, thank you, Aretha, for all that you have contributed, not only in your family's lives, but in the lives of those of us who have come to know you through music, through film. Y'all know she was in the Blues Brothers, okay, and all of this. A lot of people have talked about the one song she did called "A Rose Is Still a Rose." I have my favorite, and that's "Say a Little Prayer." Who doesn't love "Bridge Over Troubled Water"? Who doesn't love "Chain of Fools"? Who doesn't love anything that's by Aretha? I encourage you, if you can, go out, if you're on your computer, whatever, just pull up YouTube, pull up Aretha and listen to about a good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes of just everything Aretha. And, they had me singing at work. I was sitting there, what you playing? I said, Aretha, what you playing? Okay. But yeah, just, let her know that her voice will not be missed, because her voice now belongs to the heavens. And we're just grateful that she was a gift to us at the time that she was here. Moving on. Moving on. A couple of birthdays today: Bob Parr, Opara Chima Christian, and Sherry C. Martin. Happy birthday. If anyone else is celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday. If you're celebrating your anniversary, a new baby birth, anything like that, happy, happy day. Enjoy your day. Do it right. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And trust me, there's a lot of things that I still might do. Okay? So let's real quick move on to our subject at hand before we have to go over to commercial break, and that is facing your giants. What are giants? We all know a giant. When you hear the word giant, the first thing you think of is somebody that's like 8, 9, 10 feet tall, big hands, big feet, stomping all over, this day, or you think of Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay? But we're not talking about so much the physical giants, even though we know that there's a physical giant that is mentioned. Well, giants are mentioned throughout the Bible, but the physical giant story that we know of is David and Goliath. And I would like to give a little history on that, but I'm not going to go there yet. Honey, what do you have about giants today? Ooh, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, and you spoke of it what are our giants? And I think first of all is just to be able to identify what our giants are. And like I said, we have so many things that we could pinpoint as our giants, whether it be fear, anxiety, health, drugs, alcohol, family, friends. I mean, and there's so many examples in the Bible. And the first that, again, of course, you think of is that one with David and Goliath.
Yes.
And that's where I think we were both gonna go.
Yes. I mean, because it's the story. It puts you in the perspective that you need to be when you're thinking of giants, according to the Bible.
Absolutely. And not only that, but again, it shows you the power of God to overcome and the faith of David, because David was a man that had God's heart.
Right.
He followed God. He believed God. He spoke with God. He anguished with God. He prayed. So he stayed connected.
Right.
Even though he anguished, he pained, he went through these obstacles, he went through all these things. He still spent time praising God. And a lot of the Psalms are praise and songs to God.
Yes.
Even through all of his struggles, his pain, his anxieties, the things that he went through. So that's probably the biggest example, but there are other examples in the Bible of where people face different types of giants. David faced a literal giant.
Right.
A little giant. Again, they talked about him being
and he came off duty
8, 9 feet tall, and the fact that David was only a teenager, and then he was so small.
And scrawny.
Yeah.
Which is why his father sent him out to watch the sheep, because he figured he wasn't worth anything else except to do that. Really quick, I want to say good morning to Miss Ebony Collins. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. Make sure y'all go on over to YouTube, find WMSK Online Radio, hit the show. We are live. It'll say live right next to it, and you can join in. We welcome the interaction for today's show. And just to repeat, today's topic is, what is your giant? So, with that being said, if I may, honey, before we jump right into what we need to jump into, I want to give a little bit of visual about the size of Goliath and what all was going on with Goliath, okay? 1 Samuel 17:4 says, and there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Okay, so 6 cubits, for all y'all who are not math geniuses. Okay. Well, yes, thank you, because me and math don't get along. I can give you some change, okay, and I can do you some percentages, but don't ask me for nothing else. All right. Anyway, yes, I passed algebra. Anyway, 6 cubits is over 9 feet tall. The average height of a man in biblical times was 5 feet 3 inches. Short, according to today's standards, because today an average man is 6 foot. Okay, so average man was only 5'3", and this dude was a whole 4 feet and then some above that. So that's 6 cubits and some. Okay, Verse 5 in 1 Samuel says he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail. Okay, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. Now, if you know what chainmail is, that's linked chain that's linked tightly enough that an arrow is not supposed to pierce it. Okay, so he wore that. So, according to historical research, Goliath's helmet weighed around roughly 66 pounds, and the brass coat, the chainmail, weighed 175 pounds roughly. Okay, so you got to imagine trying to carry all that around. Okay, 9 feet tall, I'm pretty sure you can handle it. Okay, so 9 feet carrying around a 175-pound backpack and a 66-pound Yankees baseball cap. How about that? Then nobody be able to swing that bat. Anyway, verse 7 says, the staff of his spear was like the weaver's beam, and his spear's head was weighed 600 shekels of iron, one bearing a shield, and one bearing a shield went before him. So a weaver's beam is the beam that they use. Once they weave it, they use that beam to push down and tighten the weave so that the weave doesn't come undone. So Goliath, the tip of Goliath's spear, not the entire spear, just the tip, was roughly 20 pounds. Okay, so a 20-pound bag of potatoes is what the end of that spear weighed. All right, and the beam, you just boom. Okay, anyway, so you have to look at a man who height, weight, circumference, the stuff he was carrying, came out yelling, hooting, hollering, who are you, what are you, you can't come up against me, this kind of, considered a killing machine in his day. Okay.
Lifelong warrior.
Yes, who would definitely strike some fear in some folks if he walked up on them today. Okay, so it bears the question, what are your giants? Who of you have faced a Goliath today? And not just not a natural Goliath. In other words, not a physical 9 foot, 175-pound chainmail carrying, 66-pound helmet wearing Goliath. I'm talking about a Goliath. And we mentioned some of those, honey. We mentioned paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet, maybe unemployed, underemployed. Those are some things I know it's from what I pulled up. Someone addicted to drugs or alcohol. You mentioned that. The unfaithful spouse in either word or deed. What giants are you dealing with? Because David, remember, his first response was not to go out there and shake in his boots. His first response was what? He went out there, yes, he went out there with all that God had for him and knew that God would stand with him. But before I go all into that, because I don't want to go too much in that, I just want to give you that verbal visual of the size of Goliath, because it was no joke. And to think that an average man was only 5'3".
Yeah, that visual was intimidating, and that's what he did, to the people of Israel for 40 days. He came out every day for 40 days talking trash.
Hollering. Yes.
Come on, send somebody. If you got anybody who wants, who's not afraid, just send them on up here.
He was the T.O. of his day, okay?
No.
You want trash talkers? That's the ultimate trash talker right there. He was the Terrell Owens of his day, okay? All mouth. But go ahead.
No, just saying again how he intimidated and taunted them for 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us, dealing with our giants, are intimidated. We are intimidated by those things that we find to be obstacles,
yes,
or before us that we don't know how to overcome. They just look so great, so insurmountable that we don't know what to do with it. And it taunts us day after day after day, after day after day.
Yep, that is so true. And you may not think of them as giants, but you have to think how you feel when these things come upon you, because you get that sinking feeling, or you get that sense of dread, just like you would think David would get if he was only 5'3", seeing this 9 foot tall man. And he just opened his mouth saying, I'll do it. So I'm not going to go too far. But again, what we don't see in physicality, we face on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And that's the wild part of it. We will let the smallest thing take us down to our lowest point, and we will feel like there is no way out whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I put that but behind it, but God, okay? And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Absolutely. And then can I go ahead and touch on that
Yes.
scripture, the scripture that would definitely encourage us.
Yes.
And it's in Second Timothy, 1:7. It says, "For the Spirit of God, the Spirit that God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and a sound mind."
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that we really need to get in our spirit, that God hasn't created us to fear. He created us with a power that he imparts it with us to us. He imparts us with love, and he imparts us with a sound mind.
Well, it's like I always say, we were not created to fear. We were fearfully and wonderfully made.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially when you know the power of the God, which is so much greater and so much bigger than any giant we have in our life.
Amen.
So our focus has to be on that one.
Excuse me while I dance on that one.
On that one, this is bigger and greater than our every obstacle.
Right. I think when you mentioned the word peace, I just want to expound on that a little bit, because that peace, it's a peace that surpasses all understanding. Once you find it and discover it and know your relationship and who God is, then it goes into, and we've mentioned that, I think when Pastor Lee was in here, we've mentioned it before, when you go through things, and I mentioned it to you when I last went to church, the difference between praise and worship. That peace will lead you to praise, because you have a God that is bigger than whatever it is that you're facing.
Yeah.
So once you understand that peace, that praise comes, and that situation is like we've been waiting endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. You may be jumping all over and trying to figure it out that day, but when you just say, Lord, I give it to you, I'm going to leave this alone and I'm going to back away from it. You'll be surprised at how you feel the next day, because even though that problem may still be there, you now have a peace about it because you stepped away from it and you gave it to God. And I think that's a big difference.
It is.
When it comes to facing the so-said giants. And going back to how David felt when he first ran out and he saw Goliath, he didn't run out in fear. I like how they say he didn't run out in fear. He ran out of fear, because and when I say he ran out of fear, he knew God. There was nothing for him to fear, which is why he was out of fear when he walked up there. Oh, you can best believe he was probably shaking in his boots just a little bit, because come on, you're a 9-foot giant. I ain't for 2 seconds, and a nickel's worth of weight wet, and I'm gonna face that, okay?
Yeah, but understand, I'm sorry, let me cut you off, but understand that even before that, before facing, he had faced a bear and a lion and killed both.
That is true.
Saving his sheep.
Right.
And that's because of his belief in the power of the God that he served. So he had no need to walk in any type of fear facing Goliath, because Goliath couldn't do to him what a bear or a lion could have done to him. Absolutely.
Right. Now it says here in verse 24, all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. It says, the verse says, all the men of Israel fled, and that included David, ran and were afraid and fearful for their lives. But something happened to change David's mind. Hello. And he had a defining moment based on new information and motivation. And that new information says, and the men of Israel, the men of Israel said, have you seen this man that has come up? Surely to defy Israel he has come up. And it shall be that the man who kills him, the king will enrich him with great riches and will give him his daughter and make his father's house free in Israel. Now, David didn't come up there because the guarantee was he was gonna marry somebody and be rich and live the life of Raleigh and all of that. That's not why David came up. David had a change of heart because he remembered who his God was. And like you just said, he just, as a shepherd, what does a shepherd do? A shepherd will go and find the one and leave the 99 alone, because the one is just as important. And David, like you just said, he had defeated a bear, he had defeated a lion, those things that came to steal, kill, destroy. Hello.
I think David was a little bit angry.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you mocking my God.
Mm-hmm.
You talking trash about my God and God's people. How dare you? If this is how the
right.
attitude I believe David walked in there with.
Right.
I mean, and realize, they gave him, just quickly, they gave him all of these
right.
things once they said, okay, well, you can go before him because, God be with you.
Right.
Go ahead and do it since you say you want to do it. But they gave him a shield. They gave him all these heavy,
the stuff he couldn't carry.
Right.
Carrying all of that
heavy armor, and they gave him all these things. And David realized he couldn't even walk with them things. He didn't need that. He would walk with God.
Right.
That's all he needed.
This statement here, and I understand where they're coming from, but they're saying that David was motivated by the statement of getting, family and riches and, being free of, who wouldn't want all that? Be free from paying taxes and a big house and, I'm going to marry this model. Okay, I'll be all right. I'll go do whatever you want me to do.
Right.
Okay, so he's saying upon learning of the reward, David made a profound statement and said, for who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? That to me does not say that he was motivated by what was said amongst the soldiers. Whoever kills this, whoever dispels of this giant is going to get A, B, C, D, E.
Right, and I understand that thought. I understand that where that comes from, because he did ask.
Yes.
Okay, what do you get?
Right.
What does that person who goes out and defeats this giant, what does he receive?
Right.
So it's understandable how
I think
that
that was
thought
just a
can
frosting
come.
on the cake, because really he just his
course.
whole thing was, even though everybody was shaking in their boots, and yes, even David, he was a man, but he was a man after God's heart. And the thing of it was that even though that was there, David did not rely on getting that to go out and do what he was going to do, which was to defeat the giant.
Right. You're right. I wouldn't necessarily say that was the motivation for actually doing it, but again.
But it begs to ask the question: when you get ready to defeat the giants in your life, there are certain things that you should do, and we know David did certain things where he was out in the field doing the sheep, taking care of the sheep. Because you never know when your battle will take place, okay? You don't get to pick the right place or the right time, but you should show up battle ready. Battle ready. And I'm going to stop right there because we got to go over and cut off the commercial break and pay the piper. And then we're going to come back and we're going to jump into that and what you got and some of the things. And we're going to show up ready to battle. When we come back from commercial break, y'all join us on YouTube, download the app. Join us live. We'd love to interact with you. We are the Majors, and we are Covenant Connection live right here, WMSKOnlineradio.com, where talk radio just got better. Keep it locked. We're going to fight those giants today.
Yeah, you remember that thing that I sent you with that female pastor that preached about that, about David and Goliath?
I remember it, yes.
She was real powerful, real country. I think she kicked off her shoes. I meant to look for that this morning because I wanted to watch that again this morning. Because you remember she talked about, I asked you, because she talked about the 5 stones. Why did he gather 5 stones?
Right.
You remember the discussion about that?
I do remember the discussion. I can't call it word for word, but yes, I do remember the discussion, yes.
You remember why the 5 stones?
No. And that's just me being honest. I'd have to go back and replay it. Seriously, I
Right,
mean,
no,
it's
no,
not.
it's all good. And then I remember that because I thought it was hilarious and it was something I didn't know. She was saying that after studying that you know that scenario, she realized that Goliath had four other brothers. So even after she got Goliath, after David got Goliath, okay, he had four more stones. So if the other four brothers want to come after him, he got something for them too.
Okay, all right.
Yes, and I wanted, that's why I needed the study Bible because I wanted to go a little deeper with some things, and that's one of the things I wanted to find out. I guess you have to really do some digging to find out Goliath's family history and, you know,
Right.
who his brothers and sisters were, or in fact, he even had other brothers and sisters. You got to go a little deeper into some other stuff.
Hello, Miss Ebony. Hi, doll. How are you? How's Seven? How many things is he biting on as of late? You can join Amir because Amir chewing and inchworming all over the place too.
Um, what it should be not the first thing on your mind, but the second thing on your mind after you get up. Meet us. Meet us. Meet.
Touching your elbows yet?
All right. Put some more back on. You're gonna fall or else it's gonna fall apart.
Trying to get the mommy makeovers. Pick it up, put it in place.
What do you want to pick up? You want to pick up?
Being battle ready. Where I left on that.
I got a few things.
Did I bring? Yes, I did. I gotta make sure I bring those flyers in and leave for Tia. It was nice to go on Google yesterday, and when you look up, because lately when you look up stuff in Google, number 46 minus 1 shows up on just about everything in Google. It was nice to go on Google yesterday and Google, because I was doing a blog dedication to Aretha Franklin, pulled up Aretha Franklin, not one picture of him anywhere. I was so grateful not seeing him.
That's your Google. My Google is down so
No, there was not one single thing on Aretha Franklin, not a single image of number 45. Now, the only reason they're gonna bring that in now on Google search because of the two things that came up yesterday. The two people that got in an argument and one died because of they were arguing over the Aretha Franklin song, and then the statement that he made about her being some woman that worked for him way back then. It's so. And that's just because her name is in it, so therefore they're going to put a picture of him there because he's the one that made the statement.
Maybe he was thinking about Alfreda. Amorosa, that's what it was.
Caprice, right here. She is this. She wants me to start doing Mary Kay as a side hustle because she said you need that second stream of income. I said, girlfriend, I'm not. I said as much as I would love to join you, and I'm not trying to limit myself, but the thing of it is, I don't have the time to put together parties. And I said, if I'm going to do something, I need it to be something that I can just place on my website and let it do what it's going to do. That I don't have to give so much time and attention to because I don't got that kind of time. I'm just being honest. I tried it with Avon didn't work. I tried it with several other things. One went defunct, the other one didn't work. So
I'm believing we both will be doing something that's going to work for us. It will bring in a constant stream, second stream of income. It will become the first system that we can be free to do things that we really want to do, things that God purposed us to do. So I'm speaking that and believing that.
Amen.
Yeah. You can have one of these. One of these.
I just ate one. That cheese is in the machine. Or pretzel.
I believe.
Can you give me a cheese or pretzel? Please.
You want cheeses or
Whatever.
yeah, both.
I would prefer pretzels. In the last 2 days, I barely had 800 calories.
Yeah, we need to up the music library so
I'm gonna try and work on that
we
this
can
weekend.
try to have music that fits maybe the theme that we have. Just like you talking about the Donald Lawrence song. Wouldn't be just play today.
Did you get the flyers out of my bag in the back seat?
Right now,
Yeah, I want to leave it behind the computer so I can hear.
right now. Yeah, I guess you answered that first. You said yes.
No, it's the big stack of flyers.
In the bag, I didn't see no big stack of flyers.
Wow. I know I put them in the car.
We got 5,000 things in that big bag.
It's right there on the top.
On top of
It's a blue bag in the back. It's there. Oh, good. Did you use this?
Victor portion, Arlene portion. You know, he's so weak. They're like,
Thank you, dear.
I mean, you know.
Nah, I know, I'm sensitive to that. Did you saw my new car?
You don't believe that? Linebacker? It's like, You ever hear back from these people?
What people? No. And I'm kind of, I know Sinead's going through some things right now, but I was going to ask her because she had the connection. She's the one that got the interview with him sometime. Rita got an escort to the funeral home. Check it out. Detroit wasn't playing. The mayor even came up yesterday and said probably they're going to name a street and have a day and everything else. But there she go. Down to the funeral home. Shorty thought the bus said 1962, not X2, and got caught slipping in Reno Place. Woman hospitalized after an altercation on the Metro bus, I guess in DC, because that's a DC Metro bus.
I didn't catch what you were saying.
She thought the bus said 1962, not X2. Hold on. They were called to the bus stop near 2nd and H in Northeast DC for a fight that spilled out into the street. It started around an argument on the X2. It was unclear what sparked it. Cell phone video of the incident posted on Twitter, which has been viewed thousands of times, begins in the middle between the two riders, with one woman calling the other the N-word while exiting the bus along H Street. However, the video clip cuts off. The next clip shows the same woman lying in the street with a bloody face and head as the bus driver pulls away. People on the Metro bus could be heard in the video yelling back at her. One day later, blood still sits on the sidewalk where the altercation took place. She was being treated at the hospital for lacerations to the face and head and expected to survive. The two suspects were stopped nearby and identified, but no arrests were made. Investigation is ongoing.
I don't get what the bus has anything to do with whether it's an X2 or.
That's just the way they titled it. They said.
Yeah, that's what put me off guard. I'm thinking, okay.
Right.
That's,
Whatever it was, they got in a fight on the bus and it spilled out into the street. And by the time they got the video started again, she was out cold and the bus driver pulling off.
I'd like to be able to kind of touch on some other people also that face different obstacles. A couple of mine, of course, David, Paul, Joe, Moses, Jeremiah.
Yeah, that's fine.
We got time if I feel
Yes.
like.
No, we are going commercial free this next after I get these reads out the way and whatnot. Smart
The silence. No.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are live, coming to connection right here with the majors on WMSKOnlineradio.com, where talk radio just got better. We are the home of Cheryl Underwood Radio, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Yes. All right. So make sure y'all are marking your calendars. Yes. We are at it again. WMSK and Lady Blue present the fourth annual 50 Shades of Blue Domestic Violence Awareness Conference. Join us as we step up and continue the fight against intimate partner violence. Experience the powerful event on October 20th from 12 noon to 6 p.m. at the Furley Recreational Center, 4633 Furley Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland. We have dynamic speakers. We have Corey George, life coach and anger management specialist, and also as seen on the 7th season of Fix My Life with Iyanla Vanzant. And we also have Dr. Eric Holmes will be opening us up in prayer for that. So I'm grateful for that. Other speakers, amazing local entertainment, giveaways, vendors, food, workshops, food, and more. Let me tell you about the food. We got Hood Fellas Kitchen, y'all. Hood Fellas Kitchen. Anybody that's on social media in Baltimore knows about Hood Fellas, and it ain't no joke, and the menu is off the chain, so y'all got to show up for that. There will be wheelchair accessibility, ample parking, and even a playground for the kids. So what are you waiting on? Get your tickets on Eventbrite. Just search for the 4th annual 50 Shades of Blue Baltimore, or click the flyer on the WMSKOnlineradio.com website. Children 6 and under get in free with a paying adult, or students ages 7 through 17. You must have a ticket to enter the event. There are also group rates available. If you want more information on sponsorship opportunities or swag bag opportunities, please email 50shadesofblue Baltimore@gmail.com. That's 50shadesofbluebaltimore@gmail.com. And we hope to see you there. And one other thing that we do have, going on right now is the back to school drive. The back to school drive is happening, ladies and gentlemen. That is the sixth annual back to school drive. Presented by WMSK Online Radio. Miss Connoisseur is always in the community, and this back to school drive always has plenty of people that show up. It is also being sponsored by Picasso Cuts, Straight Up Barbershop, and we also have Maryland State Police and LS Revival Center that are also participating in this. So those are the 4 drop-off points that you can drop items off at. You will see the flyer will be up on the Lady Blue Talk Radio group page, but Picasso Cuts is at 7171 Security Boulevard. The Golden Ring Barrack for Maryland State Police, their drop-off point is 8908 Kelso Drive in Essex, Maryland. That is next door to the county courthouse. The LS Revival Center is over on Philadelphia Road, and I think that's 9627 Philadelphia Road, Suite 109 or 190. But call in advance to make sure someone is there to accept your donation, or you can get in touch with me at 443-847-5567. Gladly take the donation. You can even drop it right here at the studio. We're here in the studio. Drop it here at the studio. We will gladly come and get it from you, whichever way you want to go with it. We are glad to be giving back to the kids this year. Backpacks, paper, pencils, uniforms, everything that the child needs. Find it within your heart to help these babies start school and stay in school the way that they should be, whether they are in Baltimore City or Baltimore County. All right, so let's get back to what we were talking about, which is what are your giants? And I did leave off with being battle ready. Okay, not knowing, you can't pick the place or the time of the battle. This is Mount Medea. You can't say 3 o'clock, we get off the bus and we at it. No, you cannot do that. But you should always be ready to fight. Who should you be ready to fight? The enemy. Okay, sometimes people can't discern the enemy. They just want to fight, period. Okay, but I do want to bring in the verse that brings this about you must take the fight to the enemy. 1 Samuel 17:34-35. David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. We just mentioned that. And I went out after him and smote him. That means he killed it, for those of you who don't do the King James Version. And delivered it out of his mouth. And excuse me, and when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him, which means he grabbed him out of his neck and said, not today, and sent him off. Okay, so David didn't just defeat a lion and a bear. The scripture says he went after them when they stole what belonged to him. So you got to be battle ready and be ready to take this fight to the end. All right, so you had some stuff you wanted to touch on, Dave? Because there's other things in here that I'd like to touch on, but I don't want.
Yeah, no, and before you test that again, the first thing again is us being able to identify what those giants are, what those tricks and traps of the devil are, those things that are in front of us. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier before we came in. Sometimes it takes being able to look at yourself in the mirror, examine yourself, be responsible and honest enough with yourself to really be able to identify what your giants are.
Right.
And that's so very important, again, because you can't fight something you don't know what it is that you fight.
That's true.
You don't know what to prepare for it or how to prepare for it if you're not real about what those giants are, what your problems are. If you think about people who, again, may have an addiction, whether it be drugs or alcohol, they may not look at it as their problem. They may not look at it as their spouse as being their giant, their obstacle in the way. They may not look as their family being, and they'll fight against you when you're trying to help them identify what their giants are. So again, just taking the time, to really look at ourselves in our mirror, be honest, be reflective, to look at our life and our situation honestly, to say, what is my,
Right.
what is my giant first?
Right. And I think when we were talking about it, outside of this, we mentioned the fact about owning your truth, having, accepting your part in it. It can't always be the other person that's the wrong party, who doesn't see things the way you see things. Owning your truth. We talk a lot about that. You hear it a lot on television. You hear it a lot. I just mentioned Iyanla Vanzant. You hear about owning your truth, owning who you are. And when you own your part in it, whether it be right or wrong, you're facing whatever it is. It may not be pleasant, but you're at least facing what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and we, because we watch this show, we can see how these people who have these things in their lives cannot see them as being the obstacle. They don't see the problem, and I hate saying her name because I always Iyanla will force you to face that thing that's right in front of you that she sees and picks up quickly.
Right.
She can identify it very quickly.
Right.
And a lot of times like I said, we're not willing to face and deal with it. And again, you're on the wrong battlefield, fighting the wrong type of battle.
Right.
If you really can't identify what your giant is,
right,
what your obstacle really is.
That is true. Now that brings up these couple of good points within what I was just talking about being battle ready and taking the fight to the enemy. Expect the return of what belongs to you plus restitution. Okay, so it says there will be times in your life when the enemy takes what belongs to you. He will steal your income, your home, a family member, your time, or even your health. But you must be aggressive in going after what the enemy is taking. We always say, I'm going to take it all back. I'm going to take what the devil stole, God give it back to me. Yes, there's a song for that. Anyway, Proverbs 6:31 says, but if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all substance of his house. You must be ready for the battle in season and out of season. You just kind of mentioned that being, because, and we mentioned in the beginning, you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know what it's going to entail. You just know you need to be ready and you need to be able to discern who the enemy is, not just be out there swinging haymakers at just anybody. Okay, and I'm talking about spiritual haymakers. I'm not talking physical haymakers. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, You can go and read 2 Timothy 4:2. I won't read that whole thing, but it says to always remember you will never win a battle if you don't show up for it.
Absolutely. That wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
That's good. And I mean, and that is true. And I mean, and I know for us, especially being Christians, knowing, again, and we talked about earlier, knowing that our God will fight our battles. Our God has gone before us to win the battle before we even fight. So having that connection with our God is paramount for us. You know, knowing the power of God. And there's here in 1 Samuel 17:45. Let me read this. And again, this is David. And David said to the Philistines, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give to the carcasses of the Philistines of the Philistine army, of the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world. Will you know there is a God of Israel?" I'm sorry. "And the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." So he knows beforehand what he's going to do. David's telling him beforehand, you know, because of my God, I know this is what I'm going to do to you. And everybody's going to know that this is the God of Israel. Because if you think about the story of David being so small, facing this giant that's been so big, who's been battle tested and ready and fought battles, you know, his whole life. He's been a warrior his whole life. And to think about this little puny boy who may be 17 years old, in the natural, we can't see how that could absolutely be possible. Right. In the natural, when we're facing the obstacles in our life, we cannot see how it's possible that we can overcome these things, but by the power of God, by our belief in the God, by our knowledge of our God who goes before us to win this battle beforehand, hey, the battle is already won.
Right. And, you know, we're talking a lot about David, but also remember that there's other battles that were fought and won in the Bible. Esther fought a battle, and that was to save her people from certain death. And it wasn't a physical, get out there, I need a sword, I need a spear kind of battle. She literally just had to take what she knew and what she believed in and the God whom she served in order to go before Xerxes and say, you know, this guy is over here shamming you, and you know he getting ready to kill everybody, and you know that is important to me, all for the sake of trying to be your right hand man. So, what were some of the other battles that were fought? There's many.
But, yeah, I mean, there's many. Right, and not just talking about the battles themselves, but understanding, you know, there are people in the Bible who have gone through facing all kinds of obstacles. And, you know, just to give an example of a couple, and you go read the stories if you haven't read them or don't know them. Again, for the first one that comes to mind again is Moses, and Moses facing the obstacle of Pharaoh, the people of Israel, because they even though he was trying to take them out of captivity, they still wanted to go back. You know, they still, built these idols when Moses went up into the mountain. He came back, and all hell had broken loose. They back there partying, and they built these golden calves, and all these things. He's prepared them, to take them out, and he still has to battle against the very people that he's trying to take them out of there. You think about Job, and Job keep coming up, but you know what? Job is just that character that you want to talk about somebody that went through some stuff. Oh, come on, God! I mean, the loss, the losing everything that you have to be tested. But again, he an obstacle for him was still the people that he dealt with. Right. Yeah, and you think about his friends who were telling you, okay, well, you must have done something. You're afflicted with all of these things. You got these sores that are oozing all over your body. You're sick. You can't move. You lost all these family, and back in those days, when you went through those the first thing they would say, okay, well, you have some sin you need to repent from. That's something you must have done. So,
Yeah.
the three friends that kept coming was like, okay, well, what did you do? We know you did something, So they became an obstacle. Even his own wife became an obstacle because she was just like, okay, well, just curse God and die.
No.
You going through all this stuff, just curse God
Get it
and
over
let it be done with.
Yeah, just get it over
So
with.
she became an obstacle, but Job refused to curse God. Job held on to, and that's why Job got everything back. And he got a double portion of everything back that he had lost.
Right.
And that's a great example. That's why the story of Job is just such a great example of being patient, being faithful, trusting God, and staying focused, trying to keep. And Job went through a lot, so Job was like, Lord, wow, he just wasn't understanding why he questioned God, but God gave him.
The devil, Lucifer and God had a conversation and said, "Let me do this."
Yes.
But God said, "Okay, I'm gonna let you do this, but I'm not gonna let you take him from me,
Right?
Because I know." Okay.
He knew Job's faithfulness. He's
Right.
like, go ahead, you test him.
Correct.
Go ahead, that's the one. You got the right one. You want to test it? That's the right one right there.
Yes.
Because I know he's going.
Right, and that goes right into my second point. Don't run from the battle. Don't run from the battle. Now, we mentioned a little while ago in this little thing that I'm going by right here about defeating your giants. Did it surprise you earlier in the teaching when I showed you in scripture that David, like all soldiers in the army of Israel, ran from Goliath and the possible battle to death? Okay? But before you criticize David, ask yourself, when you are facing an enemy, do you run from the battle? Ignoring a problem will never make it go away or lessen the intensity of the battle you're facing. Hear that. Ignoring it will not make it go away. Running in the midst of a firefight with the devil will either make you a prisoner or a casualty, but never a victim. And I'm not my husband, okay? If someone or something is causing you a problem, it's better to face the consequences. That's something we always tell our children, face the consequences. But do we as adults listen to the only thing that we're telling our children? Someone once said, if you had to be the leader of a band, you must be willing to face the music. When you're in the midst of a battle and someone yells incoming, it's important to know who's in the foxhole with you. We say that in the military. You got to know who your buddy is, because you don't know if they're going to save your life or just save theirs, okay? You don't have to run from any battle, because you always know who's with you in your foxhole in every adversity you'll ever face. God is now at my side, and I'm not afraid. Who would dare lay a hand on me? And that's Psalm 118:6. And Psalm 27:1 says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Of whom shall I fear? Okay, so remember. Yes, okay, the Lord is mine. Okay, so you don't run from the battle, and you don't be afraid. Okay? But carry on, honey. I'll do point 3 in a second.
You were right there where I was going to go. Okay. I was going to read Psalms 46. It says, God is our refuge and our strength, our ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give away and the mountains fall off into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake and they're surging. There's a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at the break of day. Nations are in an uproar, kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice and the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. And I didn't read the whole thing, but that,
Which psalm is it again?
Psalm 46.
Okay.
Again, that's our place of refuge. That's our place of strength, where we have no need to fear, because if we trust in God, God will help guide us through. God will give us victory. We are victorious, over all of our obstacles, over all of our Goliaths, over all of our giants that we face.
Right. And that just goes right into, we're still talking about it, don't be afraid. If you're facing the difficult, the seemingly impossible, the financial crisis, the whatever it may be, there are many, 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 many different attacks of the enemy. You can take comfort in knowing that God is in your foxhole, or that He's there with you or walking beside you. Remember, if you have to, go look at the sandprint home. He's with you no matter where or what kind of battle you're facing. With God at your side, there is no reason to fear or even doubt the outcome. Zephaniah 3:15 says, "For then it will be that the Lord has taken away the judgments against you. He has cast out your enemy, the King of Israel. Even the Lord Himself is in the midst of you. And after He has come to you, you shall not experience or fear evil anymore." And it states there are 44 times in the King James Version Bible where we're told not to be afraid. And there are 66 times in the New Living Translation where the scripture says, don't be afraid. So the Lord's telling you over and over, do not be afraid. Okay? So the key verses for not being afraid are in 2 Kings 1 and 15. It says, be not afraid of him. Deuteronomy 20:1, be not afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee. 2 Chronicles 20 and 15, thus says the Lord unto you, be not afraid or dismayed. We always hear about it. Do not be discouraged, do not be dismayed by any reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but God's. And Mark 5:36 saying, be not afraid, only believe. Okay? So we talked about this some time ago, about having that mustard seed faith, about that minuscule amount of belief and faith will carry you a whole lot of weight. A whole lot of weight. So we need to take comfort in that, as it says in Hebrews 13:6. So we take comfort and are encouraged and confidently and boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not be seized with alarm. I will not fear or dread or be terrified. What can man do to me? Come on. Okay? Exactly. The Lord is my helper. Okay? The Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord stands by my side. The Lord is with me. Okay? Make it personal. The Lord is with Arlene. The Lord is with Arlene when she's going through financial crisis. The Lord is with Arlene when she gets up in the morning, and Arlene will succeed in everything that the Lord puts before me today. I trust in the Lord to take out and block those things that are out to harm me and keep me on the straight and narrow, so I walk towards the things that He has for me. You got to make it as personal as you possibly can, so that you don't doubt or fear. And if you get into that, and we're human, you're gonna have those moments where you falter, okay, because we all fall short, and we keep mentioning that, and that's where your praise comes in. Or even your worship. Your worship and praise is for a reason, okay? So worship gives Him the glory that He is due, which God is due all glory, all honor, and all praise. The praise pretty much just bolsters everywhere, it girds you up in those places that you don't feel that you're strong at. But remember, when you are weak, that is when He is strong. Okay, I'm going all over the Bible right now. So keep rolling, honey. Where are we at now? Where are we at? Okay? Because I got another point. There's a couple more points in this, and I will put the website up here so that you can read them. But, the one point that I do want to touch on is that it says, don't worry about what other people may think. Because we all have a tendency to do that. Worry about what so-and-so don't say. Am I doing this the right way? Hello, I'm taking a taste of my own medicine today.
Yeah, I mean, and we can go to, and I think it's Romans 8:28, where it says, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called to His purpose. I mean, just know, regardless of what you're going through, because of your love for God and because of you being called, that all things, no matter what it is, will work out for your good, no matter what. Even though we go through it, we have to be patient because sometimes, we will be tested, and it will take time to defeat this giant we have. And I can say in personal, because I had the issue with alcohol and drugs some years back, and I know God delivered me in an instant when I surrendered. When I surrendered and committed, to God, I couldn't run no more. I couldn't fight no more. I knew I couldn't win these battles on my own. I surrendered myself to God and pleaded with God, like David did in many of his songs. I turned it over, and I left it in God's hands, and God delivered me. He delivered me. He defeated my giant for me when I couldn't fight for myself.
Right, right. And I'm not. I don't want to say that. I wasn't laughing at something you said. I was just looking at it. Ebony, Miss Ma'am, I'm gonna talk to you. Don't be squaring up with your husband. Okay. She just said my husband's my best friend, but sometimes I want to square up. It's all about marriage, honey. It's all about give and take, okay? Give and take. Brian, act right. Anyway, I'm calling y'all out. Act right. So no, going back to what you were saying, dear, I got sidetracked there. We must remember that no one else can fight our battles except us, no matter how we may want to reach out and hand it over to somebody else. Say, here, can you do this for me, please? I don't feel like doing it.
Right. And I'm sorry, realize as you're saying that, we're talking about not handing it over to someone else. So we're not talking about don't hand it over to God. We're talking about not handing it over to my brother or my sister or my cousin.
Right, because they can't do
nothing for you. Okay? They don't have the power that our God has.
Right. So no one else can, here it says, no one else can take your place on Judgment Day. You and you alone are accountable for what you do and don't do.
Yes, and know that God's grace is sufficient. It is absolutely sufficient.
Yep.
You need nothing else.
Yep. It says here, other people may face a shortage of money, opportunities, courage, and or wisdom, but there's one area where they never experience a shortage. Excuse me, and that is opinions of what you should or shouldn't do. Everybody got an opinion, just like everybody got two sets of ears and a behind. Okay, everybody got one. But the thing that I always used to tell my kids, you have a right to your opinion, but not everybody needs to hear it. Okay, you can have your opinion, but not everybody in the world needs to hear your opinion. Okay, and it does mention in 1 Samuel 17:28-30 about when David's oldest brother Eliab heard David talking to the men, and he was angry, and so. What are you doing around here anyway? He demanded. What about these few sheep you're supposed to be taking care of? I know about your pride and your deceit. You just want to see the battle. What have I done now? David replied. I was only asking a question. So see, his brother had an opinion, thinking he was being nosy. Okay, so David was taking care of sheep. He wasn't, derelict on his duties. He was just like, what y'all doing? Can I not ask a question of my brothers now? Okay.
Right. And I'm sorry, I mean, cut you off again. We've seen a preaching on this, and again, you notice just in how those words came. First of all, you can tell it was his brother's jealousy. That kind of motivated them.
Right.
And then how he tried to minimize David and his job. See them little few sheep? Where are your few sheep? Your little sheep you got over there? Why are you over here bothering us?
Right.
Grown men.
Joseph's brothers kind of do the same thing to him, thinking, Dad doping all over you. How you get a coat of all them colors and we ain't got nothing. We out here working and this, that, it.
And again, then that's where you will see that even the family or the people that are closest to you are sometimes your giants, because Joseph's brothers actually sold him into slavery. But all things work for the good.
The problem never went away.
Right, absolutely. But even though he was sold into slavery, thrown in a pit, he still ended up, as his dream said, being the head of them.
Right.
You think about even Joseph, while he was in the palace with the king, how his wife actually had him arrested, saying, because they said Joseph was handsome, Joseph was a looker, so the king's wife was trying to get with him. So because he rebuffed her efforts, she had him thrown in jail. She was like, hey, he tried to rape me.
Right. I'm the queen and you don't want this? What is the matter with this?
Thrown in jail. But that obstacle still didn't stop him from the place that God had him to go to.
Right. So if your coworkers are talking behind your back, don't worry about it. And you just mentioned about friends and family. You get them friends and family members that get mad because you have a dream and you have a vision for yourself and they don't see you in that. And they don't share your desire for that better quality of life that you seek for yourself. Okay, they say misery loves company. It's not that your family's miserable. It's just like, why should you go out there and you live your dream and I didn't get to do it?
Right.
Nothing stopping you. You're the one keeping yourself there. I'm going out and do what I got to do. Now, the other one says your success becomes a reflection of their lack of success. So what you do to better yourself is just a reflect to them as a reflection of what they cannot do, okay, or what they refuse to get up to
what they
do.
have not done.
Right.
Yes, not that
Okay,
they
so-
cannot.
Right. So Eliab was upset because neither he or his brothers or any of the soldiers of the army were willing to stand up to Goliath. He wasn't mad at David. He was just mad because nobody in the army was, pulled up their bootstraps and said, "I'll go get it." His younger brother, who was tending sheep, said, "I'll go get it." Now, how is it that this boy who's tending sheep ain't fought a day in his life, ain't held a sword, carried a sword, done nothing up in you guys? How? That's why Eliab was mad. Okay. And sadly, some people, instead of fessing up to their lack of success, seek to minimize who you are. That's a message on my website today. People will talk you down because they want to minimize your success. That's all they want to do, or what you are capable of doing. So it will not reflect on them. So it's important you understand other people's motivation. That's discernment. Discernment comes in. For the hurtful things they say, but it's more important, never allow their opinion of you to determine what you do or don't do. So in life, there may be times when you, like David, will ask, what I do? Why you coming at me like that? Okay, why you gotta come at me like that? Attitude and actions of others may not be so much as to what you're doing as to what they are not doing. So consider Colossians 3:23, where it says, whatever may be your task, work at it heartily from the soul as something done for the Lord and not for men. I think that says it all.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, and I think one of those things that a lot of people do is they spend their time focusing on their giant as opposed to focusing on the God who can have you defeat that giant. I mean, because we spend a lot of time, all our energy focusing on what the problem is,
Right.
why there's a problem instead of the actual solution and the one who can actually give you solution and fix it. As we focus our time and attention on God, God will give us discernment, walk us through and give us the
take
victory.
you right on out of that, so you don't have to deal with it, and
Exactly.
put you where you need to
Exactly.
be dealing with it, so that you're able to focus where you need to focus. So God
Right.
will put you exactly where you need to be.
Absolutely. And
Exactly.
again, our focus, we can't spend too much time focusing on the problem, but the problem becomes bigger than the God.
Right. That is so true. So we got about 5 minutes before we go into our major thought of the day and all this other good stuff. I know the time just flies, it really does. But I think based on what we just mentioned, we need to make the last point I'm going to bring up, and then y'all go check out. I just posted the website link for y'all to go read on Covenant Connection about defeating your giant. But to kind of sum up what we're talking about, we talked about being battle ready, facing it, okay, and things like that. But choose your weapons wisely. Okay, because some people, it's like they get in there and they're ready to fight, but they're fighting for the wrong reasons. They don't even know what they're fighting about. Some people get involved in a fight that's not even theirs, okay, just so they have something to say, okay. But a couple of key points in choosing your weapons is that you got to get rid of anything that doesn't work for you, okay, anything that could be a weakness, restrict your movement or possibilities of success. Find something that will work for you, play to your strengths. Have weapons that we have weapons. I'm not gonna say you. We have weapons that can defeat every foe, because remember, first of all, we're wearing the armor of God. Hello, okay, but we have weapons that are not physical. They are mighty before God and overthrow for the overthrow and destruction of strongholds, and that's coming from Corinthians 10:4. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So we have what we need, but choose your weapons wisely. And what do you got, babe?
What I have,
you got 5 minutes, so don't rush yourself.
Okay. All right. I'll try not to rush it. This time goes by so fast.
Yes, it does.
I wanted to give a scripture that went with each one of these as well, but I'll try to cut it short. And I have seven methods to responding to your obstacles. Number one, it says breathe.
Mm.
I mean, because sometimes we just tend to get overly hyped and hyperventilate about the issue and get so excited about it. Take time, take a second to breathe and realize that we are not alone in dealing with whatever issue we have. Number two, let go. Realize that we are not in control of everything that we're going through, or those giants or those obstacles that we have. There's something not always in control of being able to fix these things ourselves. Number three, look up. And that's looking up to Jesus, looking up to God, the one who could actually help. Because as we stop, we let go and let God, we breathe and look to the one who could actually help us. That each one of those things fall in right in line with each other. Number four, pray and listen. And realize that God speaks to us through scriptures, through his spirit, through people. Other people can help us through that, but we have to understand when the voice of God is coming through other people to help us through these obstacles that we go through. Number five, and it's praise. Give God some praise through our troubles, through our difficult times. Continue praising God through it all. And it says, in all things give praise. Number six is reading the word. That's our source of strength and where we can go anytime. And again, you got this concordance in the back. Anytime we're going through something, whether it be the fear that we talked about, or any of the issues that we talked about, anxiety, any of those things we saw as our giants.
Right.
There's something in this book that will touch on that, encourage you, and help you through that. And the last is seeking counsel. I guess, and especially us as a body of believers, seeking the counsel of people who are spiritually have discernment, who care, who are like-minded as us. It's good to be able to bounce these things off, because a lot of times we'll sit in these things all alone and try to handle these things by ourselves. And it's not meant to that. There's we talk about the body of Christ. The body of Christ has a hand, a foot, an eye, an ear, and it's all meant to work together. So us not forsaking the assembly of the saints, we come together as a body of saints that we can seek counsel from and wisdom from the people that are like-minded who could actually help us.
Right. And I have literally typed down all of them. All that click clacking y'all heard, that was me. Okay. Anyway, so it's breathe, a way to begin to focus on on where you are and what you're going through. Let go, realize we are not in control of everything in our lives. Look up to where your help comes from. I gave some of the short versions of this. Pray and listen, realizing that he speaks through scripture, spirit, and others, but understand when he speaks. Praise, give praise through your troubles. Read the word and the works of God. It is your source of strength. And finally, seek counsel. This will help you to turn to spiritually discerning believers like yourself to deal with what you are facing. I think I caught all of that.
That was very good. You are very good at multitasking.
I'm good.
I cannot do it, so I thank God that he gave
I'm
me
good,
you.
but
You can do that.
we need to carry on this topic. I'm sorry, because there's still more to go into this. To kind of just cut it off and move to something else, I think it's something that we can revisit.
Right. And can I just get
Yes,
one last, the scripture I had about seeking counsel.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Proverbs. Proverbs has such awesome wisdom, if we pay attention to it, and we listen and ask God for discernment, ask God to give us revelation, from this wisdom, we could, it says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And again, again, we talk about everybody got opinions, everybody, you have to know who to trust in your counsel, people that love and care for you and have some discernment and have your best interests at heart. That counsel you get from these people will absolutely be good for you.
Yes, yes, most definitely, most definitely. Well, as y'all know, the show winds down so doggone quickly because when we get in good, that's when it's time for us to go. But you know what? We're always happy to be here. We're always happy to share. We're always happy to bring the word as the word is given to us and through us by the one and only person who can give it to us and through us, and that is by God. So if I were to give you a major thought of the day, I'm going to base it off what I already read here. And it's don't worry about what other people think. Okay? Sure, your coworkers may talk about you. Your best friend may even talk about you. People you don't even know may be talking about you. Okay? And you have friends and family that may not agree with your dream, your vision, your initiative, your drive, your get up and go attitude. They may not feel that that is for you. But you have to remember that your success becomes a reflection of their lack of success. That's why I'm reading we just spoke on, okay? We have to remember that in all of the things that David went through, he had one brother that was mad because here comes the little brother to do what the big brothers refused to do. Okay, but you have to remember some people, instead of owning and saying, you know what, I don't have it in me to do that, they would rather minimize who you are and make you feel that you're not capable, make you second guess yourself, doubt yourself. You see that a lot today. Okay, and they do that so that they appear to be the bigger person. All right, but you must understand, though that what they say may be hurtful and may be minimizing and may, hit you, kind of, come out of left field. Okay, never allow their opinion of you to determine what you will and won't do. Okay, there's going to be the times like David where you ask, what I do now? Why everybody always picking on me? Who said that? That was that was a song. Anyway, why is everybody always picking on me? The attitudes and actions of others may not be so much as to what you're doing, but as to what they are not. Okay? So again, consider the words of Colossians 3:23, where it says, whatever may be your task, work at it heartily from the soul, as something done for the Lord and not for men. Whatever you do in life, do it for the glory of God. Don't do it for the accolades and the glory of man. Man ain't gonna give it to you. Okay? Whatever is between you and God, that is between you and God. And remember, it's not important what others think, but what God thinks about what you're doing. Okay, so that is my inspirational message for you today. And just remember to be battle ready. Okay, and that don't mean you got to start slapping on armor in places that and start acting like Voltron and all this other stuff. No. You already have the whole armor of God. You've got the belt of truth. You've got the helmet of salvation. You've got the breastplate of righteousness. You've got the sword. You got everything that you need. Okay, you got the sword, the shield, the sandals. You got all of that. Okay, God has given you what you need to go out into this world and say, God's got it. Okay, and we go leave it at that. And just remember, we are here every Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. We love being here. Please support the Back to School Drive. Please support the 50 Shades of Blue conference coming up. If you want to donate to the ministry or have questions about the ministry, please reach out to us at covenantconnection16@gmail.com. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are, as much trying to be out in the community and do the things that we need to do in the community as we should. We are very supportive of community actions. Bro Code Baltimore is one of those things that we support. We're glad to be members of Ellis Revival Center. We support Ellis Revival Center as well in the actions and the things that they do. They do have some things coming up this weekend if you wish to go out to the nursing home or homeless vision. Yeah, so make sure that you, if you have nothing to do, come on down to the church on Philadelphia Road and join in. We'd be glad to have you. Other than that, make sure that you know that there's a show for everybody every day of the week here on WMSKOnlineradio.com. And it's Friday, so the cipher will be in here later. So Miss Connoisseur herself will be up in here. So y'all tune in for the cipher. If you have a show idea, you think you want to be on radio, you are looking to advertise, whatever the case may be, go to WMSKOnlineradio.com, either click on contact us or advertise with us, check everything out, drop us a line, and someone from the marketing team will get back with you. Again, we love being here. It's a great Friday, so you need to get out there, enjoy your day, live out loud, because God has granted you another opportunity to do what you didn't do yesterday. You can't get yesterday back. You don't know what tomorrow holds because tomorrow is not promised, but you are living in the present, and that is a gift to you today. Other than that, we're going to close the show out like we normally do. We're going to tell you we love you.
And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Not a doggone thing. So anyway, before I forget, make sure that you have gone over to State versus Us magazine. Go ahead and pre-order your copy of the second issue, which is coming out in a couple weeks, as a matter of fact. Get your copy pre-ordered of State versus Us magazine. Great stories in there. Get the first issue at a discounted price. You can get digital, you can get a computer, handheld, or you can get the hard copy. I like the hard copy. Just make sure you support State versus Us magazine as well, because it is walking out the door. I mean, it is selling like hotcakes. So anyway, enjoy your day. Live out loud. Remember, we love you. Join us back here next Friday. Make sure you check out the Lady Blue Radio Show on Thursdays from 9 to 11 a.m. and all the other shows that are on WMSK Online Radio. And we will see you next week. Peace.
We love you. God bless.
All right, children, we are out. See ya.